How the heck do people afford homes in San Diego in 2024? Now, let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of people buying homes here in San Diego County, and everybody makes some sort of sacrifice on what they are getting, where they are living. Of course, that sacrifice is more for some people than others, but I want to show you how you can make home ownership a reality here in San Diego County. There are a couple of tips and tricks and ways to get more for your money, get more affordability, some things that I've used in the past, and I just want to be able to share this with you. So my name is Dan Parker with Best Life Home Team, and this is our Answer Your Questions series. This is actually where I take your questions and comments from my videos and I answer them. I dedicate 5 to 10 minutes on a video just explaining and answering your questions. Today, it comes from the Manny Man. Just moved here in the military, wanted to buy, but quickly felt like it's out of reach, even with our super high housing allowance. I plan on getting out of the Army here and settling down. The prospects of owning seem to be out of reach. I'm curious how things will turn out in the next few years. So really, I want to go over here. First of all, thank you for your service. San Diego is a military town. We have so many people in the Army, in the Marines, in the Navy. Navy is the #1 employer in the city of San Diego. And it's a very disappointing time right now in history where I feel like a lot of you aren't getting taken care of at the level that you should. And it's unfortunate that it's becoming harder and harder to be able to afford here in San Diego, especially for a lot of our military. So hats off to you. Thank you so much for your service. Hopefully you can gain some type of more ideas on what you can do and how you can make it happen from this video. So that's kind of the goal here today. So I'm going to get into this. I'm going to start off with general advice that I give all of my private clients, and then we're going to get in some really cool, unique tips and tricks. And again, things that I've utilized in the past to make homeownership a reality for us when we first got into the market. And you can use this exact same tip as well. If there's anything I'm missing or anything you think I'm wrong about, let me know in the comments below. I love to hear what you guys have to say. So when buying a house, there are two main problems that you're going to run into. It's, will the bank allow you to take out a loan of a certain amount? And that could be affected by your credit, by how much money you make. And I'm not really going to get into the credit stuff, because if your credit is a challenge, Google it, figure out how to improve your credit. The other aspect of it is, how much can you afford? Like, not what a bank can tell you you can afford. Maybe they tell you can afford $1 million home, but when you look at what that monthly payment is going to do to you, it's just stretching too much. You feel like you're going to be uncomfortable. You feel like it's going to be a poor financial decision. So this video is not to have you make a poor decision. I want you to be able to find ways to make it easier for you to make that payment. And I want more people to have the access to home ownership. So hopefully you get a lot of that from this video. So the first thing I can tell you is you have to be a little bit realistic. Now, here is an article that came up recently that said, what do you have to earn to buy a typical house in San Diego? Now, this is from October of last year, where mortgage rates were over 8%. So that means affordability was even lower, because when mortgage rates are at 8%, people are spending a lot more on their monthly mortgage. I mean, significantly more. So what do you have to earn to buy a typical house here in San Diego? At that time, you need to make $241,372 a year to afford a mortgage on a median price home in San Diego Metro, which was at $885, almost 30% more income needed than the last year to afford a median price home. Now, why was it 30% more? Because of where the rates were. The rates got so high, it brought affordability to such a low level, making it more and more difficult for people to afford a home. Now, the good news is rates are on the downward trend, making affordability a little bit easier, qualifications to purchase a home a little bit easier. But what I want you to know, what I want you to take away from this first and foremost is, just because the median home means you need to make a certain amount every single year does not mean that that's how much money you need to make to buy a home in San Diego. That's the median. That means there are more expensive homes and there are cheaper homes. And so there are tons of opportunities down here that you can have access to. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So when I'm saying be realistic, this is kind of the start. You need to be realistic. There are wonderful homes in San Diego. There are craftsman style homes. I love me a craftsman style home. This is my wife's dream, to have just a really nice craftsman style home. There are Spanish style homes. There are some really cool homes, especially like in North County, some newer homes. This is kind of a little bit of a contemporary Spanish ranch style home. I didn't even notice that third garage door over there. If you're looking for these types of homes, they're not going to be the cheapest. If you want to be right next to the beach, the affordability there is at an all-time low. So you first off just need to be realistic with what your money can get you, and doing some online searches can obviously help you with that whole process and figuring out what you can afford. So once you figure out, be realistic, then let's start to figure out what can you actually afford. This is San Diego County homes for sale. I'm sure a lot of you have been on Redfin before. So when we're looking on here, there are a couple things we can do. First of all, just look, there's not a lot of homes throughout the county. That's why things have gotten so expensive, because of what we call the inventory, the amount of homes for sale. But if we look at the prices, let me just show you here. Let's see what are the most expensive homes in San Diego County. $1 million, almost $2 million plus. Okay. So what we find is they're going to be in kind of this North County region, this kind of mid North County region, Rancho Santa Fe, a lot of these beach communities, all these beach communities. That's where a lot of these more pricey homes are going to be. So if you're looking for affordability, if you're looking for the opportunity to be able to purchase something in San Diego, these are going to be the most challenging places to make that happen, because they're going to be the most expensive. If you go on the opposite end of this, let's see like what's within a price range of, let's say $700,000 or even $650,000. There are homes available. I know it's not the median price home. There are homes available for $650,000, but watch what happens when you make this one little change. If you change the home type to single family home, now a lot of these options are going to be gone. And they're going to be gone because affordability in San Diego is a lot of times going to be on the outskirts. So it's going to be where you are looking. You have North County, Oceanside, San Marcos, Vista. You can go all the way to Valley Center out here. You can go east over to El Cajon and beyond. And then you can go south. So Chula Vista, these sections down here, you have National City. I mean, you have to check on each of these different regions to see what is a good fit for you, where you're willing to live, because there are some good neighborhoods, there are some not so great neighborhoods. For everyone, it's going to be a little bit different. So do some of that research on your own, but I want you to see there are locations that are available. The other option is, maybe you just don't start with a house. Maybe you start off with an attached property. I'm going to tell you why later in this video, why this is so important. But when we're looking at attached properties, a lot more options become available, a lot more locations. So you can find out how to get more affordability by these two main things, by finding either going a little bit farther out or by finding a different style of house. An attached property, you're going to get more affordability. Now, that's how to get more affordability. How do you increase your purchasing power? So you have a couple of different options here. And this first one is going to be frustrating for a lot of people, but hold tight. I want you to see where I'm going with this. The first tip here is to bring equity from another property. That's right. You can bring equity from another property, and you're saying, Dan, I don't own a house. This is not useful for me, but here's what I want you to think. That's exactly the point. You have to start somewhere. My first home was not our dream home. It was not in our dream neighborhood. We got our foot in the door. We lived there for 5 years. We took the equity from that property, which was what was left over after we sold the house and paid off the loan, and we used that to ratchet up to the next house. So bringing equity to a property is important, and what I want you to think about now is maybe that means we start with something a little bit more modest and we work our way up. Now let me give you, this is the best tip that I have, and sure, it's not going to be okay for everybody, but again, this is something that I utilized, and it allowed us to be able to afford a home. It allowed us to get our foot in the door in the market, in a really tough market. And so let's say your monthly mortgage payment, you buy a $700,000 home, your monthly mortgage payments with property tax and everything is $41.59 a month. What if you can supplement $1,000 or more, $1,000, maybe even $1,500 of that every single month to bring your payment down to $3,000 or even less? This is possible for a lot of people. Now, what we did when we bought our first home, my wife and I, we bought our first home, we had a very good friend of ours rent out one of our rooms for 2 years. Now, we were newly married. We didn't want to have someone renting out one of our rooms, but it allowed us the opportunity to buy that house and feel more comfortable with that monthly payment. And what we did was we ended up putting that money basically into a fund that allowed us to do some upgrades down the line. So thankfully, we didn't need it. We didn't need it to pay our monthly payment, but we were able to use that to do some upgrades in the house as well. So these are the things I want you to think about. There are options. There are ways to get a little bit more affordability. There are ways to increase your purchasing power. You just have to think strategically. So I want you to think strategically. I wish there was a simple pill, a pill that I could give you so that you can afford an amazing beachfront property or a craftsman-style home in San Diego. But that's not the reality because there's not enough homes available. But there are some really, really good tips that you can utilize. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to text the word home to me or check out the discovery session link in the description below if you are looking to buy a house in San Diego. If you are looking to relocate to San Diego, I'm here. I'd love to help you out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.